Before we get into today's episode, I want to shine a light on this episode's show sponsor. Transform your backyard into a paradise with Family Home and Patio, proudly featuring American-made products for unmatched quality and durability. Whether it's a sleek in-ground retreat or an easy above-ground solution, their installation pros bring your vision of the dream pool to life. Their showroom in Decatur not only has premium brand hot tubs with expert installation and top-tier service to keep yours bubbling year-round, but they also carry chemicals, filters, accessories, and everything you need to keep your water crystal clear and your pool party ready. Their expert pool and hot tub technicians provide professional maintenance and repair to keep your backyard oasis in peak condition year-round. Family Home and Patio is a family-owned, family-operated, and family-focused business. That's why they treat you like one of their own. Your backyard deserves the best, and they have it. Crafted right here in the USA. Family Home and Patio, where relaxation meets home. Give them a call at 217-877-2808 or visit them online at familyhomeandpatio.com to make your dream a reality. If you're looking for high-quality custom apparel and more, Oakwood Screen Printing has you covered. They offer a fantastic range of products, including jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, pants, towels, bags, wall art, tumblers, mugs, and even yard art. Whether you need team gear, promotional items, or unique gifts, they can bring your ideas to life. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can enjoy 15% discounts on all orders using promo code BB217 when you shop in-store or online at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. Their team is dedicated to delivering excellent quality and service. Don't miss out on a great opportunity to get your custom apparel and gear at a fantastic price. Visit oakwoodscreenprinting.com and use code BB217 today. And thank you, Oakwood Screen Printing, for supporting the pod. If you're looking for top-notch drone services, look no further. Aerial Elite Solutions specializes in providing high-quality aerial imagery and data for a variety of industries, including real estate, construction, agriculture, and more. Whether you need stunning photos to showcase a property, detailed site survey for your construction projects, or captivating footage for your events, Aerial Elite Solution has the expertise and cutting-edge technology to deliver exceptional results. Their team of skilled professionals is dedicated to capturing breathtaking visuals that elevate your projects and help you see things from a whole new perspective. With Aerial Elite Solutions, you're not just getting a service, you're getting a partner committed to bringing your vision to life. So if you're ready to take your business to new heights, literally, reach out to Aerial Elite Solutions today. Visit flyaes.com or call 217-330-7226 to learn how they can help you transform your projects with their services. As we all know, storm season can bring unpredictable weather, and protecting your home or business is more important than ever. That's where Midwest Lightning Rods comes in. With nearly 100 years of experience in the lightning protection system, design, and installation industry, they are trusted experts in keeping your property safe from the dangers of lightning strikes. Midwest Lightning Rods specializes in creating customized solutions tailored to your specific needs, ensuring your home is a safe haven during the storms. Their dedicated team understands the importance of safety and offers free estimates to help you decide the best protection for your property. Don't leave your safety to chance. Reach out to Midwest Lightning Rods today. Give yourself peace of mind knowing you're well protected. Visit lightningstrikes-weprotect.com or give them a call at 217-872-4676 to learn more about how you can be part of the community that's been protected by MLR. Thank you for the supporting sponsors for helping bring this podcast to life and keep it moving. Now let's roll. Hey, greetings. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Business. Joining me as a guest today is founder, owner of Aikman Wildlife Adventure, Mr. James Aikman.
Welcome to Beyond Business, where stories come alive. With guests from every corner, we're ready to dive. New episode every 5 days, new voices to share. Laughs and insights, we're all in this affair. Beyond Business, come take a seat. Join the conversation, it's a journey that's sweet. Life lessons learned and laughter from the heart. With every episode we're making a start.
Anyway, I appreciate you coming and sitting down with me today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, for sure. So what you're doing obviously is something amazing, but I want to go back, like where you started. Are you from the area?
From Arthur.
Originally, you're from Arthur.
Yep.
So like grew up there, high school there.
Correct.
All that?
Yeah. So born and raised in Arthur. Graduated from the Arthur High School in 2003.
Okay.
And then from there, went to Lakeland in Mattoon.
Okay.
Got my associate's degree in business administration, and then transferred over to Eastern and got my bachelor's in finance.
Okay. And you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 younger brothers, and then Daniel is an Amish guy that's been at the park from the very beginning, and he's become like our adopted brother. So
Okay.
I normally tell people I have 3 brothers.
Okay. So you go to Eastern, and then when did the park, did you go do something else before you started this park?
Yes, I actually went into banking.
Okay.
So my business administration and then finance was my kind of what I got my bachelor's in, and then from there went into community banking.
So that was the plan.
Correct. Yep. So I worked at the State Bank of Arthur while I was going to high school. So that was kind of my summer job.
Yeah.
My dad was actually a banker. My grandpa, my great-grandpa, I was kind of 4th-generation banker, but growing up, I would have told you that banking was the last thing I wanted to do. I saw my dad and grandpa doing it, and I thought that's the most boring thing
Okay, so
ever.
Jim and Jan, who is Jim?
Jim would be my grandpa.
Okay,
so,
that's
yes.
how I just know the name.
Okay, sure.
So when I originally mentioned having you on, I asked my mom, I'm like, I knew I wasn't related to you, but I'm like, how do our families know? Like, there's something, and it was, my mom and your grandma.
Okay.
They're like,
Yep.
they're,
Sure.
They spend a lot of time in the same prayer circles.
Yep,
Let's just
definitely.
say that. Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, I remembered. I knew there was something. I remembered the bank had something to do with it. But okay, so your siblings also were in the banking?
They were not. So I was the oldest, and then Andrew next. He went into kind of civil engineering, worked for a big landscaping company in Terre Haute, and then Bobby, my youngest brother, his background is IT.
Okay.
So,
all right. So I cut myself off there. You got out of college. You were absolutely not going to go into banking.
So growing up, I said, I'm not going to do banking. That seems so boring. I need to do something else. And then sophomore in high school, my dad said, hey, this summer we haven't had a high school worker for a long time. We could really use somebody to help cover vacations and run the teller window and things. And I thought, well, I need a job. It's money. I will do it. And so then that summer is kind of when I fell in love with the people there at the bank and enjoyed helping people. And so that's kind of
got a different outlook on
what
it.
spurred me to want to go into finance when I went into college. And then I interviewed at a few other places. Could have gone a couple different routes, but then they offered me a job at the bank, and so I took the job locally. And so when I graduated Eastern, moved back to Arthur, bought a house in Arthur, and my wife and we got married when I was a senior in college.
Okay.
And she's a year older, so she was working. So then we moved to Arthur and started working full-time at the bank, and both of us would have told you that we saw my future being the president of the bank eventually at some point down
Right.
the road, and so this is the last thing on the planet I thought I would be doing.
Okay, so you're at the bank for. Okay, so you get out of college and start at the bank your early 20s, right?
Correct.
Mid 20s, early 20s,
Yep.
something.
Yep.
Starting a family, married.
So got married. My wife, she was a kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
She loved teaching. Kindergarten is a little more involved than some of the other grades, just because you have to prep all the crafts for them. You have
Oh,
to do
yeah.
all the stuff for them because they're still a little too young to be able to do that stuff. So she always knew she couldn't be a great teacher and a great mom, and so we waited for
Yeah.
about 7 years to have kids.
Yeah.
And then
Talk about training, dude.
yeah,
She was she had it mastered.
correct. Yes. And so kind of thought our life would be just being in Arthur, me being at the bank. When we knew we were going to have kids, she was going to kind of retire from teaching.
Had it
She
mapped
wanted
out,
to be
huh?
stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And then our son was actually, we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl at the time because we just chose to be surprised. You can't be surprised with that many things in life anymore. And so we knew that the due date was coming up. It was only a few weeks away. And one night, it was October 22nd, 2013, I had a dream that my wife and I owned and operated a wildlife park. And so I told her about it the next day. She said, "You're crazy. Our kid's going to be born in a few weeks. We have enough on our plate. You need to get that out of your head." I agreed
This
with
is
her.
serious. This is serious how it was born.
Yes, yep, yeah. And so you need to get that out of your head. I agreed with her completely.
Good dream. Maybe you'll have another good dream tonight.
Yeah, so that night I had the exact same dream. And so I told her, I don't know why, but I really feel like this is something God's wanting us to do. And she said, well, if God's really behind it, he'll find a way to make it happen. And so kind of from there, my mind just started becoming flooded with thoughts, plans, ideas, layouts to the point where I couldn't shut my brain off.
Now, before that, had you made a couple fun trips to a cool zoo?
No, and actually
went on
I
a
get
safari or a Google to.
Yeah, so I actually
you know.
I get asked, did you watch We Bought a Zoo the night you had the dream or anything like that? And no,
Rabbit hole on YouTube or
correct. No, probably a few months prior, I had booked an African safari. So I was a big hunter in high school and in college, and then taught myself taxidermy, and that's kind of how I paid for my hunting trips. And so my goal was to go over to Africa for a safari, and I'd been saving up for about 5 years. Finally booked that. So I booked that in July of 13, and it was going to take place in August of 14. And so that's what I was planning to do, go to Africa. And then a few months later had these dreams. And then I'm someone who had always thought, I hear people say I couldn't sleep, so I got up and did the laundry, or I got up and did this. And in my head, I've always been, if you just lay there long enough, you'll fall back asleep. And so I did have to eat my own words. My mind was just racing with numbers and ideas and thoughts.
Oh,
and
so you were
to the point
experiencing
where
it
I
now.
had to get up out of bed and just
It was different.
just started putting things typing things out, putting them on the computer. I opened up an Excel spreadsheet and just kind of started creating different
Ideas.
tabs and different things. And I still use that Excel spreadsheet to this day. It's up on my desktop. I probably have
Now there
was
are
like close to
10,000 tabs.
Yeah, close to 100 tabs on it. Yes, but sometimes I'll go back and just see some of those earlier tabs and see thoughts or ideas where we were. But
So your wife says, "Hey, if this is, what okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but fast forward, this turned into something that this is what you and your brothers now do.
that is correct. Yeah. So
So how do you pitch this dream to them?
so that is another kind of funny part of the story because
Or I
Andrew.
guess, how does it get past
Andrew,
a
my
dream?
brother, he's the pessimist of the family. He calls himself a realist, but he's a pessimist. And I knew that if I could convince him that this would be a good idea, I could convince anyone.
Right.
And when I had the dreams, it was just about the wildlife park, so I wasn't really thinking at that time who would be involved with it. And so I told my parents about it, and they've always been super supportive, but they know that I've liked animals since I was younger, and so they thought this made a lot of sense. And I told my younger brother about it, and at the time he was young enough, he thought, well, let's talk about it when it's actually going to happen. It just sounds kind of just like
Cool
a dream.
idea.
And so then that Thanksgiving, so Thanksgiving of 13, the Friday after Thanksgiving is when we usually celebrate it with my parents, but we couldn't be there because we were in the hospital. Our son was being born. And so Mom and Dad somehow conveyed kind of what we were doing or what I was thinking to Andrew, and I didn't see him until the first week of December. We were eating at Yoder's, and we were in one of the back rooms for we were going to have Christmas with my grandparents. We went out to eat first, and he was there first, and I walk in, and first thing he says to me before he even sat down is, "What's this about a stupid zoo?" And I said, "I don't know what Mom and Dad told you, but just wait until after dinner, and I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking." And so had dinner, got back to my grandparents' house, did Christmas, and then I had brought my little
By this
folder
point, you had more than
binder.
just an
Correct.
idea. You
Yes.
needed that, too.
Yes.
Right?
And so showed him, and he's like, this isn't all what Mom and Dad described. And so what I didn't find out until about a year later is on his way home to Terre Haute that night, he made the decision he wanted to come back and be a part of this whenever it happened. And so
So he believed in it immediately.
correct. And I'm the president, he's the executive vice president, so he's been kind of the number 2 guy from the beginning.
Which in some cases, that's all it took to put the wheels in motion is the pessimist to say,
correct.
we can do this.
Yeah, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
He's someone who makes workaholics look lazy. And so
And it takes that to kick something off for
correct,
sure.
yeah, so doing a lot with it. And so what got me to get the kind of that binder ready to kind of show him was my wife and I, when we had the dreams and knew that was from God, my finance kind of major kicked in and said, God, if this can't support itself, doesn't make a lot of sense to do it. So I started running numbers, doing cash flows. I was reaching out to other drive-through parks. And so there was one in Ohio, there was another one in Missouri. Those were the 2 closest to us. And they would not tell me anything. And I couldn't figure out why they seemed to be keeping stuff so close to their chest. And so one day I just randomly called one down in Texas, and they asked me, what's your zip code? And so I told them, and they said, well, you're about 18 hours away from us, so I guess we can share things with you. And so what we found out is that these drive-through places bring people in from about a 5 to 7 hour radius. And so those other 2 were viewing us as competition. And that, even though my business is my background, that was not even on my radar at all, that you would have customers from that far away and not be an online type of business. That I wasn't even thinking about that. But
When you're going, if someone calls me from 3.5 hours away, pick my brain. I'll
correct,
help you.
correct, yes.
Yeah.
And so now that we've been open and we've seen it, we have had people drive, I think 7.5 hours was the longest drive to come specifically to our place. But they do bring people in, and we are Illinois' first and only drive-through park. So I was finally able to kind of get some rough numbers together, finally realize that it could support itself if we have people coming to it. And so then my wife and I are both like, God, why a wildlife park? There's got to be more things to further your kingdom, like feeding the hungry or homes for the homeless or things like that. And he made it very clear to both of us that through the testimony and how the park got started, seeds would be planted in people's lives that may never step foot in a church, but they would come to the park just because most people are innately drawn and interested to animals, and just through that being able to witness. And I was just talking to my wife the other day that since we've started this, I've gone and spoken at Rotary meetings and chamber meetings. I've spoke to Girls State, even down Eastern, to 400 girls one time. I've been able to share with tons of people about the park, but I also tell about how the park got started. So I've been able to be more of a witness in these years since I've had the park than I was probably my whole life before that. I always led by example, but was never very vocal about things until we had the park. And so it's just been very cool to see that happen. And now we're kind of realizing that as the park does better, then we can actually help out with things like feeding the hungry or helping provide homes for the homeless, and just believing from the beginning that we are blessed to be a blessing.
Yeah, I had no idea how. I had no idea that this was I don't want to call it a God thing, but it absolutely is a God thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had no idea that this was I thought this was just a cool business move. Really, I honestly didn't know.
Yeah, and actually, so
It was an awesome business move, and the partner
correct
was one of the coolest business partners ever.
Yes, absolutely. And so, like I told my brother, showed him that in the beginning of December, and so the whole month of December, I was really struggling with. I've saved up all this money to go to Africa. I had kind of been losing the desire to go hunting, which ended up being a good thing because some people would view me as a hypocrite if I said I love these animals. And so I understand that hunting plays a big part in conservation and things like that. Not everybody gets that, but I still knew it would get very complicated very quickly. But Africa was always my goal, and so I was really feeling like I needed to do something to show I was committed. And so every night in December, I would just go to bed. God, I need you to show me Africa or show me the wildlife park. And so usually every night it was something different about the park. So in January, I called and canceled my African safari, and my wife and I both would have told you that there was nothing under heaven that would ever have got me to do that.
That was
and
a dream come true for you.
I just felt like that was the sacrifice God was needing from me to show that I was all in with this. And so doors started opening after that, and then we kind of began the search of looking for land.
So, in the place, what did that used to be? It used to be something.
It was Rockholm Gardens.
Rockholm Gardens.
So it was huge in the 70s and the 80s.
Like hiking or like a park? Or
so actually how it got started, the house, actually Andrew, my brother, both of us live on site. He lives in what used to be the Arthur Martin home. So Arthur Martin was a guy who had the Progress Tank facility in Arthur. They made steel tanks during the Great Depression. He owned that property. That was kind of his summer home out there.
Okay.
He didn't want to lay his men off, so he brought them out to the property, and they started using the steel bending equipment to make all these different shapes, and then mortar and rocks from the Kaskaskia River, which is just about 300 yards away, started making all these rock structures. His wife loved gardening and flowers and plantings, and so she was planting stuff all over. More and more people just started pulling off the side of the road and wanting to look at it, wanting to check that out. Honor has always been a big deal to me, and so that has always stuck with me, that when other companies were laying off their men, he was trying to figure out a way to keep them employed. So we have tried to save as many of the rock structures as we could when we bought the property.
Incorporate them and...
Yes, when we bought the property, that steel that was used in a lot of those shapes, some of it had rusted through, so it was very unstable. So we did what we called the Asa test. So Asa was my son. He's our oldest son. He was 2 at the time. I would hold him, and if he could push one and it wobbled, it was just too much of a liability and had to come down. But there were other parts that had like stone rock arches, just made a bunch of rocks, and you could actually reach up, and if you pulled hard, you could pull a rock out of the mortar, which is not good to have people walking under it either. So we saved as many things as we could. Others that were stable, we were able to kind of incorporate them into our paths. Out where our drive-through is now, there's lots of rock fencing. We saved a lot of the crosses and the flower baskets and some of the different shapes, so we're slowly working on incorporating them into our landscaping just to be additional memories of Rockholm. But It had a horse-drawn sawmill. It had a furniture-making shop. It had the restaurant. It had a bunch of little gift shops spread throughout the property. My dad said when he was younger and over here, they had a tractor outfitted to look like a train and then 2 rack wagons outfitted to look like train cars. And so you could take a train ride down to the river and then guys on horseback would come and pretend to rob the train. And so they did different things like that. So again, huge in the 70s and 80s, tons of field trips, bringing in like 200 buses a year of group tours as well. That family sold it in the mid-90s, and I think we're the 6th owners of the property since they sold it. From what I can tell, everyone that got it tried to make it how they remembered it as a kid, but still not doing a ton of stuff for kids. Actually, the family we bought it from when I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce in Arthur, I was on a committee made up of Arcola and Arthur people that met with the owners to try to help them put Rockholm Gardens back on the map. And just, I think over the years, times changed and it just didn't change with the times. And then different owners had different hours and the hours weren't consistent. And a lot of the business owners got tired of sending people out there when the people would come back. Hey, you told me it was open and it wasn't open. Getting that kind of feedback type of thing.
Well, what it needed is a really good idea, and you got one.
So the funny thing is, since we've had it, I can probably count literally on one hand the amount of people that have come and made it known that they don't like that we're there and Rockholm is gone. But I have literally hundreds of people, probably thousands at this point,
like,
that came knowing that they'd been to Rockholm before and said, "This is way better. My kids love this," and that's what we get a lot from parents. Is you don't understand how hard it is to find something that my 6-year-old likes and my 16-year-old likes.
Sure.
And so I'll do behind-the-scene tours, and
the parents like,
and the parents.
Like,
we do field trips for kids, and kids usually within 30 minutes are shouting out, "This is the best field trip ever."
Good.
And the teachers, they normally joke about, "I think we might be having more fun than the kids are." But
I remember. Again, I don't even remember what year it was. I mean, you guys were hadn't been open more than a year or two, and was it like getting in like a gator or a golf or something?
Yep,
and
we have a UTV.
There was an emu or something that we got face to face, and it was absolutely me and my daughter. Like, I mean, we were right here. We got to see that emu tongue come and give us kisses.
Right.
It was absolutely hilarious. I mean. Yeah, that was awesome. So how many? I know. I mean, you guys have expanded tremendously. You have a walk-through and a drive-through, right?
Correct. Yep. So we.
So it's what is it? Park and walk-through or drive-through, or how does it?
So
you make the
that
choice,
is what
or?
that's what we kind of got in the beginning. There were some misconceptions, especially with local people, and the one thing we would get at that time, our drive-through, it kind of horseshoed the property. So you could see about 5 acres of the 20 acres from the parking lot. And so one of the things we would get from locals is, well, why would I pay to go in when I can just see them from the parking lot for free? Not realizing that there's a lot more of the drive-through wrapping around. Second thing we'd get, well, why would I walk when I can just drive through it? And the drive-through and the walk-through have completely different animals in them. So it's free roaming, hoof stock, and large birds like emu out in the drive-through, and then the walk-through has all the smaller animals. It has the predators, it has kangaroos. It is set up more like a zoo. And then the third thing, our favorite thing, was we get people coming up to us and telling us, "Hey, we really want to come out there. We're just waiting for you to get more animals." And I would tell them, well, we have almost 200 animals. We have over 70 species. I'm not really looking to get a ton more animals right now. And their eyes would get huge. Their jaws would hit the floor. I had no idea you had that many out there.
Oh, you're like, we just were waiting for you to come.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you're trying to drive past and see what we got to determine if you're coming or not?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I've never drove past a zoo and been like, look at all the animals, man.
Right. And what we knew with Rockholm, and it's kind of the same thing really with a lot of attractions, if something is in a person's backyard, they know they can go to it at any time. So life inevitably happens, things get busy, and so it just gets pushed further down the priority list. And so that's why we have more people from out of town by far coming than we have locals. We started our Pathway of Lights, which is our Christmas event.
Oh, yeah.
And we get more locals that come out in those 6 to 8 Saturdays that we're open than we do all year long, because it's kind of a finite period. You got to come out this time or you'd miss it.
Right.
And all the time, people locally are coming up to me, James, I had no idea this was this big, or I had no idea you had this much out here. I can't believe it's taken me so long to come out here. We get that kind of thing all the time. And so thankfully we get more support than just the locals, so we can keep going and keep operating. And so, yes.
Yeah, you definitely, I mean, that's, so do you guys have, which I don't know, you guys don't have like a restaurant there now, do you?
We do not. So we have, during our peak season, which is kind of the summer months, our concession stand is open.
Yeah.
Bobby, my youngest brother, before they moved to Tennessee, they had kind of operated what was the Rock Home restaurant. They kind of turned it into their own restaurant. It was just open on the weekends, kind of with limited hours, not necessarily tied to the park. So we've talked about a restaurant before, so that in the very beginning we knew that.
Because you can make a day of that. You know
correct.
What I mean?
Yeah. So we knew a restaurant.
You drive through and walk through would be the ideal thing.
That
to
is
do,
correct.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. So we knew a restaurant could be in the future, 10 plus years down the road. We just knew that with the restaurant, you kind of got one shot to make a great first impression, and then you really got to stay on top of it. And so we're just
you can just overload a concession
not
stand.
there. Yeah. Yeah. So we have expanded and added other arms to the business other than the
So
the
how
restaurant
long
route.
has it been since you quit the bank? Or how about this? Since you bought Rock Home Garden?
Yeah, so we purchased Rock Home. We closed on it September 1st of 2015. And then kind of how I'd set it up with the bank, basically they said once you closed, that would kind of be the end. And so I did a lot with home loans there. I did a lot with internet banking. I helped out with investments. I did marketing. I did a lot of different things there, and I loved it. But I think some at the bank didn't actually think it was going to happen. Like it was too big of a concept, too big of a project, can't actually happen. And so then once it was realized that I am actually going to do it, this is what I'm choosing to do this rather than be at the bank, then it was, hey, would you want to come work like one day a week for the next few months just to help with training and transitioning? And again, I loved all the people there, and so I was happy to do that. So I think technically November 4th was my last day of 15 was my last.
And now
day
you got
at
a
the bank.
solid place that's like, hey, you need some money, man. I'm not a naysayer, but I can't even lie. When I heard that it was like, hey, they're going to put like a drive-through safari out here in Arcola, it was like, who? What? Obviously, if someone can do it, it would be a hit. But no, they're not. No, there's no way.
Yeah, and so that was another thing that I kind of was struggling with in the beginning when we were looking for land and trying to figure out the financing, because buying farmland around Arthur is not cheap at all, and looking to see the loan options. And I knew I was a banker, so I knew what would be looked at. I knew what risks would be considered, and I was basically not even 30 years old. I was wanting to start a brand new business myself and do a brand new business that has never been tested in this area before. Yes, and so
the only comparables won't even talk about their numbers, and they're 4 hours away.
Correct. Yes. So that kind of, I kept wondering, God, this is your park, so you're going to figure this out, but it's not looking good at some of the people that I've talked to, and I understand why. And so when we were looking for land, I was from Arthur, so we really wanted it to be as close to Arthur as possible. And I was kind of exhausting all the different options I thought might be possibilities, and so I reached out to Bill Wagner, the Arcola city administrator, and just told him what we were wanting to do. He had already heard what we were wanting to do, and so he was wanting to get it as close to Arcola as possible, and so he gave me a bunch of other landowners to talk to, and it just was not making. I think of all the land we looked at between Arthur and Arcola, the best deal we got was people wanting to basically trade their farmland for 2 acres to 1. So we would have to go and buy 2 acres somewhere else to trade for just 1 acre. And from a cost standpoint, that just didn't make sense to me, especially for starting a new business. I need as much available capital as possible.
Right.
And so when we knew about Rockham Gardens, I had met with the owners. This would have probably been in spring of 15, early spring of 15. And at the time, it didn't make sense. There was so many existing buildings and pathways, and all the infrastructure was already there. We were planning on just a blank slate farmland so we could build it exactly where we needed to build it. And so it didn't make sense. And we finally thought we found some land. It was in Moultrie County.
Okay.
Moultrie County has rural zoning. So I could have built the entire park under the ag zoning that the land already had if I did not charge admission to come onto the property. So if I could have let people come in for free, I could have done it just how it was. But because my business model needed to charge admission,
Right.
I had to get a special use permit, which opens the door for most of the time neighbors to oppose it. And so there were five households around there, 3 of which had kids. They were interested in applying for jobs. The other 2 were older gentlemen. They had been farmers. I reached out, talked with both of them, went to lunch with one, had a phone call with the other one because he was down south, and both kind of wished me luck. And then one day I get a call from their attorney that they were gonna fight it, and so that started in February of 15, going to Moultrie County for these kind of hearings almost, and that kept going until June 17th, I think, was our last hearing date. And so that period of time, like I'm a very laid back person. I do not get stressed out. That period of time was definitely the most stressful that I have ever experienced.
Did you get the vibe when you met with these guys they were opposing it?
No, I could tell. The one I had lunch with, I could tell that he was definitely unsure, but I thought we kind of answered the questions, and I thought it was
Oh, so when you heard
okay.
from an attorney, it was like,
So I was,
here we go.
yeah, I was a little surprised, and so I think I ended up losing like 10 or 15 pounds that spring just from the stress.
Yeah.
And so we quickly realized that it was just some people don't like being surrounded by other people. Some people don't like change. And so I get that. I understand that.
You're like, God, I don't think that was the...
Well, yeah. So
That wasn't it.
I mentioned earlier that honor's a big deal to me, and things started happening that were kind of lacking in honor is the best way I can put it. To the point where we realized it's going to suck in the short term to pull away from the spot we thought we had, but in the long run, it's going to be better off for the park to not have to worry about things or not have to worry about upsetting people or anything like that. And so
You had to have pushback from the jump. And all
correct.
that.
Yep. And so that's when we decided at that June 17th, whatever that last hearing was, that's when we realized that kind of reason and logic aren't necessarily playing a role right now, that it's nothing we can do or say is gonna
Change
help the
anybody's-
situation.
yeah.
And so that's when we just needed to
Pull back.
step away. The county was very supportive. They realized that there's not a whole lot in Moultrie County to draw tourists to, and so they knew that this would be a draw. So the county board was had been very supportive the whole way through. And actually, we had that last hearing, and then that next week, I went to a conference on exotic cats and getting my certification in feline husbandry. And at that point, we had already circled back in our heads to Rockholm, like, could we look at this and figure out a way to make our vision work here in a place that already has the infrastructure in place. And it was during a break of one of the sessions. I was up in my room, walking back and forth, praying, God, how am I going to tell the county board members that we're not going to be in Moultrie County? We are looking at potentially going to Rockholm. And because they had just been so supportive, I just felt like I was going to be letting them down. And literally, while I'm pacing and praying, the chairman of the board calls me and said, James, I don't know how to tell you this, but we feel like the county board and the zoning board need to be a united front, and so you're welcome to still appeal, but I don't think it's going to happen.
They answered your
And
question.
I just started laughing, and he said, am I missing something? I thought this would be upsetting to you. And I said, I've literally been walking back and forth praying on how can I tell you that we're not going to be in Moultrie County. We're going to look at doing it at the Rockholm Gardens. And you called me and told me that. And so that takes care of what I was concerned about. And he kind of started chuckling. He said, oh, well, yeah, I can see how
Perfect.
that was funny for you. And so we parted ways. And I hung up that call, and I called the owner of Rockholm, and I said, hey, when I get back, can we come out there and walk the property and with my brothers and I and our wives and try to figure it so we can kind of mentally see what would need to be done. And so Andrew, my brother, who I said is our EVP, his background kind of civil engineering, so AutoCAD. And so over the course of those years, from when I had the dreams to when we closed on Rockholm,
He had
I
designed
would kind of share ideas with him or give him pencil sketches, and he'd put it into AutoCAD, and so we could see what it looked like, and we'd kind of change revisions. And so we both wanted to walk the property, see what it was like. We spent tons of hours looking at the aerial map on the computer of the property, trying to figure out what makes the most sense when. And then it probably took about 30 days to figure out a plan, because we wanted to see what happens when it poured down rain.
I have to interrupt this episode for a minute to tell you about the sponsors of this show. Your backyard should be more than just a patch of grass. It should be a destination. At Family Home and Patio, they bring the best of relaxation and fun straight to your home. Immerse yourself in luxury with their top quality hot tubs, built for comfort and crafted right here in the USA. Take the plunge with a brand new pool, whether it's an elegant in-ground escape or a convenient above-ground favorite. They install them all. Keep it sparkling with their full line of pool and spa supplies, and trust their expert technicians to keep your water clean and equipment running smoothly. As a family-owned business, we believe in quality, care, and craftsmanship because your backyard deserves the best. Upgrade your outdoor space with Family Home and Patio, your trusted source for everything pools and spas. Give them a call today at 217-877-2808 or visit them online at familyhomeandpatio.com to make your dream oasis a reality. Aerial Elite Solutions is a drone service provider specializing in providing high-quality aerial imagery and data for a variety of industries, including real estate, construction, agriculture, and more. Whether you need stunning photos to showcase a property, detailed site surveys for your construction project, or captivating footage for your events, Aerial Elite Solutions has the expertise and cutting-edge technology to deliver exceptional results. Visit flyaes.com or give them a call at 217-330-7226 to learn how they can help you transform your projects with their drone services. With nearly 100 years of experience in the lightning protection system design and installation, Midwest Lightning Rods are the trusted experts in keeping your property safe from the dangers of lightning strikes. Midwest Lightning Rod specializes in creating customized solutions tailored to your specific needs, ensuring your home is a safe haven during the storm season. Don't leave your safety to chance. Reach out to Midwest Lightning Rods today and give yourself peace of mind this storm season. Visit lightningstrikes-weprotect.com for more information. If you're looking for high-quality custom apparel and more, Oakwood Screen Printing has you covered. They offer a fantastic range of products, including jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, pants, towels, bags, wall art, tumblers, mugs, and even yard art. Whether you need team gear, promotional items, or unique gifts, they can bring your ideas to life. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can enjoy 15% discounts on all orders using promo code BB217 when you shop in-store or online at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. Their team is dedicated to delivering excellent quality and service. Don't miss out on a great opportunity to get your custom apparel and gear at a fantastic price. Visit oakwoodscreenprinting.com and use code BB217 today. Now, let's get back in the episode.
We wanted to see what happens when it poured down rain, because there wasn't any drainage in Rocco. After it poured down rain, there was this huge pond like puddles in places. Right. So I have no idea what they did when they were open and it rained, but we knew we had to address that as well, and so kind of came up with the plan. And so once we did that, we started kind of negotiating purchasing, and then that's when Bill Wagner kind of came back into play. The city of Arcola had taken a mortgage out on Rock Home back maybe in the 90s sometime to help one of the owners that was struggling to keep it from going under. The state had granted Arcola some money to do something from a tourism standpoint, and so they took out this mortgage, and they're like, James, you would need to apply through the city, but if you buy Rocco, you might be able to just assume that mortgage. And so we did that. We were able to assume that. So instead of having to go to a bank to borrow money on a crazy idea from a young person's perspective, we got to assume that mortgage at a rate and a term that there's no bank on this planet would have touched that or would have done that or even considered that.
Another thing falling into place.
Correct. And so God just did lots of things like that, especially through extended family and grandparents and providing finances and different things. And
okay, so you get that part lined out, which I know there's a lot more to it than just getting a piece of land. But how do you find animals? Is that literally a Google search? I mean, where do you...
yeah,
so do you have to get, like, you just mentioned you had to go for, like, wild feline husbandry, or, like, for each kind of animal, do you have to have a certain handling certification for your park? So
USDA is who regulates us. They actually don't. We have to have a license with USDA to be able to have animals and be open to the public. They don't really require any certifications or anything like that. I did that kind of from my standpoint. I mentioned as a kid, I loved animals. Probably as a 4-year-old, I could tell the names of most animals on the planet. Okay. I'm someone who loves information, so I was always learning about all kinds of things. By my early 20s, I could tell you physical characteristics, habitats, where the animals are from. But when I had the dreams, I knew I didn't know what I wanted to know about the raising of the animals. And I also knew that just from an optics standpoint, I'm a banker coming in to start a wildlife park, and if anybody just hears a banker starting a wildlife park, what they think could be all over the board, but there would have to be some people that think, well, he doesn't even know anything about animals. What is he even doing?
Sounds like a rich guy with too much money. Who
correct.
likes animals.
Yeah, like some people, especially in the beginning, thought that Mr. Aikman wasn't even at the park, that he was just some kind of millionaire investor that bought
He's
it
in
and
Hollywood.
run it. Yes, yes. And so
you're like, no, that's me.
yeah. So I knew I wanted to know more. And so that 22 months between the dreams and closing, I read everything I could, watched everything I could, went out, shadowed people that raised animals that I thought we might have. So I tell people I learned more in that 22 months than I did my 4 years of college. And so I wanted to get as much credibility behind me just from a visual standpoint from anyone on the outside looking in. I knew
your credentials were in order as far
correct.
as...
Yeah, I knew mentally I was learning everything I needed to take care of these animals, but no one knows everything that I'm learning on my own. But when you have different certifications or things like that, that is something that anybody can see.
So is it animal shopping, basically? I mean, is that
after
you get your, the quarters ready to where you can keep the animals?
Correct. Yep. So there are lots of, not lots, but there are some exotic animal auctions that happen all over the U.S., and we knew about those. The issue from our end with the auctions were you don't know anything about that animal. So that animal...
You're talking about sick, like where it came from?
Could be sick, could be super aggressive, could be super old and on its last leg, and
when you know the kinds of animals that can be around each other, but that doesn't mean they are...
Correct. Yeah. So an
anything.
animal at the auction could be around other animals. We've seen that happen before, but animals we've learned are a lot like people. Some are laid back, love life. Others are mean, grumpy, hate the world. Right. And so that kind of thing is very hard to gauge at an auction. And so what we did was kind of just put our name out there in as many places as we could that, hey, we exist. And so people started reaching out. Like I think we closed on September 1st. That next week, I had a lady show up to my office who lived down around the Cooks Mills area, said, I've got this elk, a female elk that I bottle raised. We used to raise elk, and she's the only one I have left, but I can't bring myself to kill her and eat her because I bottle raised her. She's like my baby. Would you be willing to come and meet her and see if you'd be willing to take her? And so I said, yeah, absolutely. So I met her at her place. The elk's name was Esther, and so saw Esther. Lady brought out apples. We were feeding Esther through the fence, and I noticed another elk in there, and she's like, well, I said, what's the deal with that one? Well, that's Esther's baby. Esther raised her, so I don't really have any connection to her at all. So we'll probably just end up processing her and have food for the family to eat. And I said, look, we will take Esther. We'll happily take Esther. But if you would want the two of them to go together, I would be happy to provide a home for both of them. She said, well, let me talk to the family about it and I'll let you know. And so she called me back a couple days later and said, we decided if you're willing to take both, we want you to have both. And so we named the other one Ruth. So we had Esther and
You have them
Ruth.
currently?
So they were older, so they have since passed away.
Okay.
So I think Ruth passed away just about a year ago, and Esther passed away a few years prior to that. But so we'd have people reach out to us, hey, would you consider taking this animal? Would you consider providing a home for this animal? And so we got a lot of those. As time went on, we would get more and more of those requests.
Because I guess people who deal with those kind of animals, they also want them to have a good place.
Correct. Yeah, because they're like their babies. They're part of the family. So, and then oddly enough, like the Missouri drive-through park that wouldn't tell me anything in the beginning. Most drive-through parks have a lot of baby animals, and so they have so many animals they can't keep all of them, so they're looking at moving them, and so you're able to...
And that's ideal, right? You get them
That's
as
ideal,
babies
yes. Like our bison, for example, I tell people, you couldn't pay me enough to bring in a 12-year-old male bison, because he could do a ton of damage. Yeah, so with our bison, with our water buffalo, we knew we wanted to bring them in young as yearlings so they could grow up used to the animals, used to the fencing, used to the cars. And so Benny, our big male bison, he's about 2,000 pounds, and he's calm as can be. He lets some of the smaller animals push him around. Actually, he doesn't realize he's 2,000 pounds
Right,
now.
yeah.
But,
He's fully capable of anything, but he don't know it.
but yeah, so a lot of the animals, especially on the drive-through side, came as like surplus animals from other parks and facilities, and so they're kind of used to the routine. And we came up with an introduction process that we would use to introduce a new animal to the animals in the drive-through, just to help minimize and mitigate any issues, and that worked very well for us. And we even started implementing that on the walk-through side to introduce different species together that could go to, like, our big sulcata tortoise was in with our kangaroos and our Patagonian cavies, which are a little bit smaller than capybaras. They're in the same family, the guinea pig family. We introduced those three species together, and so they had shared the same area for a long time. And the introduction process worked great with pretty much all the animals except for our wolf dogs. So the wolf dogs, even though they are not full wolf, they have some dog in them. That wolf and that pack mentality and that hierarchy, that, like, we had to do our introduction method for some of them over a year before we were able to get them to be together. And then some of them just can't be together at all without causing problems. The females are usually the ones that have the biggest issues with each other. We get that a lot as well. But yeah, so that has worked out very well to be able to bring animals in.
So, okay, you had a plan. Are you there? I mean, have you already surpassed your plan, and now you're on the next stage of your plan? You know what I mean?
Kind of, yes. So,
I mean, when it all started, you had a goal.
What we knew going into it was Rock Home was a seasonal business because it's outdoors, and we have Illinois winters.
For sure.
And so our business was going to be in that exact same boat. And so my goal from the beginning has been, how can we get each month to at least cover its own expenses? Because right now we build up a surplus during our peak season, and that carries us through the slower season when there's fewer people coming out. The bills, the expenses are still so we still have the same electricity, we still have the same animals to feed.
A lot of times even higher.
A lot
when
of
it's colder.
Correct. Yep. And so we knew that we needed to get to a point where we could do that. And so when we first started, we didn't really know what that looked like exactly. Then we quickly realized anything that we could do indoors that would be climate controlled could be done all year round. But if we just brought some smaller animals indoors, it's gonna seem like a cheap substitution to the whole park. Why come in the wintertime for that little thing when you could come later and experience the whole thing? So we knew it had to be something different than animals. And so my brother and I, we have loved dinosaurs since the beginning, and we thought, what if we did like a prehistoric museum, but we start with some of the prehistoric mammals that are kind of tie-ins to animals that we have here at the park. And you see a lot of museums have skeletons or fossils, and you kind of have to imagine what they look like. Mm-hmm. You can't ever touch them or get that close to them. And so what if we did fully fleshed out, detailed pieces and let kids touch them, let kids stick their heads in the mouths, let kids get as crazy a picture as they want. And so kind of our motto became, don't settle for bones behind barriers. And we did these life-size pieces. We had this idea in 2017, but the only option really for fur was to be hand sculpted, and to hand sculpt a giant short-faced bear, which on all fours is still over 6 feet tall, is insanely expensive.
Right.
We saw that some people were doing 3D printing of dinosaurs, and so with the dinosaur, the scale skin, it's easier to do that and make it look real than the fur and the feathers. And we also wanted to bring in kind of a CGI component, and our vision was a window-looking thing that was actually screens, but it looked like you're looking through glass, like at a polar bear or a lion habitat, but have a T-Rex be in the background, and wanting it to be at least a 2-minute loop so people wouldn't necessarily know it's just on repeat all
Right.
the time. And so the hand sculpting was way out of the question. We got a quote for the CGI component, and it came back at like $600 a second, and that was not going to be feasible. And so we kind of
And
put
you're
them.
like, we want a couple minutes.
Yeah, yes,
Wait.
yes,
Yeah, we're not going to, 5 seconds ain't going to cut it.
yes. So that kind of, we kept thinking about it, kept changing it, and then in early 2019, my brother found this guy on Instagram, and it was a picture of this dog curled up, laying in a sleeping position, and he sent it to me. I'm like, why is he sending me this dog that I'm assuming is dead? I'm assuming somebody must have had it stuffed as a
Right.
memory or something like that. And then I look closer and like, is that really real? And so I text him. He's like, this guy does 3D printing and it looks legit. Like fur looks real. And so he said, I reached out to him to see what's his thoughts on prehistoric. And he said, I would love to do that. I just don't have a ton of demand for it. And so we started with a giant hyena, and we were actually just going to have him do that one and send it to us
See how it works.
and see how it was. And we could tell by the pictures that it was looking amazing. So instead of paying for a 20-foot crate for just that hyena, we thought, let's go ahead and let's get 3 more pieces that could be this test phase 1 of the museum, fill up that 20-foot container so we're getting the most bang for a buck from shipping.
Yeah.
And our office had our office manager's office in it, and my office and our conference room, but then it had probably 1,000 square feet that wasn't being utilized. And I said, we can test it out in here just to see how it goes. And so we kind of had him start making those pieces and getting them.
What does he do it in pieces, or what does he got to?
So-
it's not that big of a 3D printer. Right?
Yeah, so what the process is, because that's the cool thing about the museum right now, all the pieces are one-of-a-kind pieces. Like, they're not ordered from a magazine.
Right.
We sent him the species and the size, and then he digitally sculpts that, and then once we sign off on that, then he'll pose it how we want it posed, and then once we sign off on that, he'll print out a 1/10 scale model, so a small life size, and that's what he will paint based on kind of the patterns and the things we've told him. He'll paint that. Once we sign off on that, then he starts printing.
Oh,
them.
he's an artist.
So he has 3 or 4 huge printers, but what he realized in the beginning was if we're wanting kids to be able to touch them, they have to be able to be sturdy and supportive, and so he welds basically a rough steel skeleton inside,
Yeah.
and then prints off the pieces. So
And
this
attaches them.
6 foot tall, short-faced bear on all fours. So standing up, it'd be 12 to 14 feet tall. So it's a massive animal. That I think was printed off in 11 pieces.
And you
then
have these.
And then he put it together, put it over the frame. Like, he sent us, we have a Smilodon, a saber-toothed tiger is one that came in our second phase. And he sent us a picture of a square cut out of the side of it because they needed to finish tightening up the bolts. And then they patched the square. And like we've seen the picture with the square, but we can't find where the square is on it. So it's insane how he can seam it together and look amazing.
So
And
needless to say, you're definitely pleased with the work.
Yes, yeah. So what happened was in fall of 19, we knew these pieces were going to be coming. We got some prehistoric skull replicas and compared them to present day skull replicas. So we have a giant beaver and a beaver of today, and so we called it prehistoric versus present, and set those up in display cabinets around the gift shop just to see what people's reactions were. And people were around them all the time, looking at them, talking about, oh my gosh, I had no idea that existed, or that is so cool to see that. So we thought, okay, this is going to be this is going to be great. We're going to open up the museum beginning of 2020, and people are going to love it. They're going to come out. They're going to be excited about it. And then I think the pieces came maybe early February, and so we by the time we got everything finished in the museum, COVID hit, and we were shut down for the rest of March and April. And then in May, we were able to open up our drive-through just because you're like quarantining in your own vehicle.
Yeah.
And that was huge. So the funny thing, prior to that, 2019, the heat waves hit and rain hit in the worst times imaginable all year long, to where weather really hurt our attendance and sales were down. And I was praying. It was November of 2019. I was praying, God, we can't have another year like 19. And he said, 2020 is going to be your best year ever. And so then when fast forward to COVID being shut down, my pessimistic brother, 2020 is our best year ever. Yeah, right. What are we going to do about this? I said, I don't know, but just wait and we will see what happens. And so closed March, closed April. In May, we were able to open up the drive-through.
Was it banging since there was nothing else to do?
It was nuts. Like we had normally our average attendance had been about 30 to 35,000 people for the year. In May, we had 20,000 people come out just for the drive-through. People were coming from 4 hours away to go through the drive-through.
They're off work, man.
The Saturday of Mother's Day weekend of 20, the drive-through entrance used to be at the far end of our parking lot, and we started noticing cars backing up down the parking lot. And then when I went to lunch, there was a few cars that were out on the road. The line was to the road, and then when I got back from lunch, the line was all the way down to the four-way stop. And so it was taking people about 45 minutes from get to the four-way stop to our drive-through entrance, and we were getting people through as fast as we could, sending people out with brochures to tell them the rules of the road and kind of that kind of stuff so they could pay when they got up there. Everybody was super, super nice, super chill. Like, if it had been any other time, I feel like we'd have been getting grumpy customers and things. People were so happy to get out of their house, and we knew when we opened it, we knew that some people were struggling financially, that this was wrecking everything. And so going back to that blessed to be a blessing, normally our ticket price for the drive-thru only was $25 a vehicle. And so we wanted anybody to be able to come out and do it. So we just said it's donation only. So it's whatever you want to give. If you can't afford anything, then just come out and enjoy it. And it was so amazing just to see some people would donate more. I think maybe of all the cars we went through, maybe there was 20 cars that didn't pay anything. But the coolest thing was there was a day where the girl in the ticket booth was telling us this, that the person at the window said, I want to pay for the person behind me. And so then that person came up. They were told, hey, the person in front of you paid for them. Well, then I want to pay for the person behind me. And so I think that went on for like 33 cars. And so that was amazing. Regardless of what the park did that day, that was just, it's always cool to see there be hope for humanity in different situations. Yeah. And so we were able to open up the drive-thru. The walk-thru is still closed. No one's coming into the museum because the walk-thru is closed. And so we felt by the beginning of June,
you're having a 6-month month.
Yes. Yep. By beginning of June, we would start bringing back behind-the-scenes tours, because that is just limited to a group, so one family group. We could do that. That'd be a way to get people start to come into the walkthrough to kind of gauge things. By middle of June, we kind of had the green light, since most of our stuff was outdoors anyway, to open up the walkthrough.
Now, was it on you? Do you just predetermine how you eat? Is there anyone actually coming and checking? Or are you kind of going?
So, like, we would talk with our health department. We would reach out to other outdoor attractions and just see what are you doing and different things like that. And so we thought, you know what, people our adults, if
you're
they want
scared,
if
stay
they would
home.
just want to stay in the drive-through, that is totally fine. We'll open up the walkthrough, thinking maybe 25% of the people will come into it, and I think it ended up being 95% of the
People
people
couldn't wait to get out of their
come
freaking car.
into it. Yes, and so we opened up the museum, and that 1,000 square feet, we quickly realized this is not going to cut it. That people are loving it, but they're so small of an area. Not many people can be in there, regardless if COVID is happening or
6
not.
feet apart or not,
But
it's packed.
but they love it. They want more, and every month we continued to set records, and so that 2020, I think we ended the year with maybe it was right around 76,000 people coming out, and so that
So God didn't lie to you about 2020.
correct, and so I think that helped kind of stretch my brother's faith thumb
Yeah.
to now he'll be the first one to make comment. Well, God probably has a plan for this, or God probably has a reason for this, or
Right.
that kind of thing. And so that has been
Yeah.
cool to see. But that great year gave us the finances to be able to build on to the museum. And so we knew when we added on, we didn't want to go the 8-foot ceilings because that limited us. We wanted taller, so we went 15-foot tall ceilings. We just did the whole length of our current office building, so 50 feet, and then we went out 25 feet. So 50 by 25 was the addition, but going that height, we were going to have to redo our roof. The roof was very old; it needed to get redone. But
Yeah.
all the peaks, the valleys, everything was going to have to be redone. And so then it hit us. Well, if we have to rip the whole roof off, can we just add a second floor to that?
Existing.
Then it's never going to be cheaper than right then because we already have to pay for a new
Right.
roof anyway. And that would allow us to move everything upstairs so we could use the rest of that space
Downstairs.
for whatever we would
Yeah.
want to do. And so we ended up doing that. We got a bigger break room. We got a bigger conference room. We have multiple
Oh, yeah,
more
double the
offices
square
now
feet.
upstairs.
Yeah.
And so we ended up doing that. And with then phase 2 pieces came in that fall, I believe. And that had a huge life-size Carnotaurus, so it's about 28 feet long, stands about 9 feet at the shoulder, head height's probably close to 10 to 12 feet. And that was definitely the showstopper piece for
Right.
phase 2. And then we left space intentionally for phase 3, which came in fall of 22. And so it has just grown and grown in popularity. And so that has been something, but we knew that we still needed to do more for the indoor component just for the wintertime, and as well as kind of expanding our offering. So while we were thinking about the museum in 17, Rockholm had done some weddings, and when we bought the property, we had a few weddings that were booked, and so we started thinking, how can we
Have a venue.
do this better? The barn that those weddings happened in that first year, that fall of 15, it was the Wednesday before Christmas of 2015. Freakishly warm weather, and this microburst came through and took down the building. Like took down that barn. One of our workers watched it shaking and then get twisted off the foundation, and then it just collapsed. And so we're like, well, what are we going to do now? And so we had this other red barn that had a second floor. And we were up there one day, or we were actually walking towards it, and Daniel, the Amish guy who's become our adopted brother, he was talking to one of our girls walking in this line, and he said, "I should just do weddings up there." And he was joking, and I turned around and said, "What did you just say?" He said, "Oh, I'm just kidding, but do weddings up there." So up there it had kind of busted floors. It had a bunch of different compartments where they did antique dealers. It had hay everywhere.
yeah.
It was a disaster. I said, we need to go up there and look at that space right now. And so we're very good at visualizing things like that CAD, that AutoCAD map that Andy
Yeah.
did. Him and I, we could literally walk the property and see
what it's gonna
everything
be.
where. And so we went up there and we realized if we got rid of that catwalk and these compartments, it would really open it up a lot. And this would be a place where we could do weddings. And I think it was 2 days later, a lady that Kelsey was really good friends with, she babysat her kids when Kelsey was in high school and her kids were younger. Her oldest daughter was wanting to get married. They had been looking at all kinds of places. They hadn't found a place that they felt was right. Somehow, we still don't understand how they knew that we were even thinking about doing weddings up there, because literally 2 days later, she called, "Can we come look at that space?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I got to tell you, it is a train wreck up there right
You're like,
now."
it's just an idea.
Yeah. So I brought him up the stairs. They see the disaster, and almost immediately she's like, "This is where we're getting married." And I'm like, "Whoa." Like I can
5
visualize a lot. Not everyone can do that. Why don't you go home and why don't you sleep on it at least? And he said, we've looked at lots of places and we just have never felt that was where we needed to be. And he said, I agree with her. This is where we're going to get married. And he said, actually, me and my groomsmen, we can come and we can do all this demo for you. We'd be willing to help you get that done. And I'm like, well, if you guys are serious, I mean, we'd let you just get married up here for free if you're willing to help us out with that. And so, like that weekend, they came and started demoing walls, removing boards, and then another one of our team members, her dad was able to pull up the rotted floorboards from the leak that was in the roof before we fixed that and replace the floor. And so their wedding had 325 chairs set up there for. That's been our biggest wedding since, but they...
Little teamwork made the dream work.
Yes, and so now Bobby, my youngest brother, when they did the restaurant, they wanted wedding receptions to still be able to happen, so they did an addition onto the restaurant for seating for the restaurant side of it, and they added a full bar into it. Before that, couples had to bring their own alcohol, somebody come in, and so...
so it's a full. You can.
It
do
is
it
a
all.
full venue. Yep. So that has simplified couples' lives quite a bit, and so we do weddings and receptions there, and so that has been huge for us because it's able to utilize space that we wouldn't normally utilize and bring money in. And so Andy, his wife Julia, she runs that side of things for us, and we're working on the only downfall of the loft. The barn is built in 1901, so it's very rustic inside.
Yeah.
Looks very cool, but it's not climate controlled. And so we're working on a way to put in an HVAC unit that we could turn it on like an early Saturday morning, and then by the time the wedding happens, it'll cool. It's not going to hold it. It's not going to keep it for long, but it could make it nice, because that would allow us to do weddings June, July, and August.
Right
September,
now it's catch it spring or
September and
fall.
October, we could book those weekends 3 times over if we had other spacing. So that is a way we can kind of increase that side of things. And then kind of the next arm we realized was we have a very unique place. People want to spend, like, I live out on the property, Andy lives out on the property. When I'm doing tours, I tell people that, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I'm so jealous. You have a dream life that gets done from everybody. And so we realized, well, if we could let people spend the night out here, they would love that.
What are you gonna have, camp?
So we actually
RV slips or something?
that is what started it. Was one of our team members said that Scoville does an overnight at the zoo. I think it's $35 a person, and we could offer something like that at our Sable banquet, at our fundraising banquet, not open to everybody, but just at the auction is one that you can bid on. And Andy, my pessimist brother, people aren't going to want to do that. No one wants to do that. And then a few days after that meeting, he started out there mapping where could we actually do this. And then so we auctioned it off at the Sable banquet. And like, honestly, we were going to be thrilled if we got $500 out of it. And we had the right people there, 2 different tables. They really wanted it. They were bidding it up. I think it got up to like $2,500. And then the other one dropped out, sold it for $2,500. And the nice thing about some of the stuff we do at our auction is a lot of it is experiences that we provide. So then I told the auctioneer, hey, if the backup bidder wants it at that price, we would do 2. And they took it. So we made $5,000 off of this camp out
You're
thing.
like, we would have done it for 400.
And so that got us thinking, well,
Why don't we-
anybody can camp out, but that's not going to help us in the winter time. So what if we actually built an actual small house, like an Airbnb type of setting?
Cabin
And so we
type
built
deal.
it out by the
Oh, you
pond.
did?
We ended up building it. That's another thing that came out of the banner year of 2020. We had some funds to do this project as well. And so we built Elk Ridge, our first Airbnb. Now the guy who was doing it for us was also adding on to Andy's house. And so we give Andy a hard time about cannibalizing his time, and so that delayed the completion quite a bit. But it's about 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms. It's got a pull-out queen couch and living room, so it can sleep 6 pretty easily. We just really went live with it a year ago, so about last March we went live with it.
Really?
We hadn't been getting a lot of traction on it, and I was just we're building 2 more, and I was in those other 2 one Sunday afternoon just praying, God, what should we be doing? What can we do to get the word out? And he just made it very clear, don't just rely on your own network. Use other places to get the word out to other people. And so I told our marketing girl on Monday, I said, see if you can find unique places to stay if there's pages like that. And she came back to me and said, James, there's this Illinois Stays. They want $300 for a post, which seems like a lot for a post, but I'm going through their page. Ours is way cooler than anything else on their page. And I said, well, because $300 a night is what we charge for basically for up to 6 people. And I said, well, if we get one night booked, we've covered the cost of the ad, so let's go ahead and do it. And so they ran that. I think went live last Sunday in March, and then a week, it might have been the next week, because I think the last Sunday that year might have been Easter, but a week later, by that next Sunday, we had over 60 nights booked.
60?
60 nights booked, and it just kept
$300 well spent.
It just kept going. And the funny thing is, they reached out to us, I think in May, hey, because they knew we were working on 2 others. Do you have those ready? Can we promote those? Because it did so well. I think it ended up reaching over 2 million people. And they just kept reposting it at different times because it did so well for them. We said, unfortunately, the other ones are not ready yet.
So now you're going, hey, let's get these.
Well, and so then they just started promoting the park. They started promoting different aspects of the park, and I would see our Facebook page likes increase by hundreds at a time. I'm like, what just happened? And
Beautiful.
They did the post, and so then they started doing like our off-road, which is our UTV ride, or our behind the scenes, which is UTV ride plus a guided tour with encounters. And anytime they did one of those posts, those bookings shot up tremendously. And so they just did that periodically throughout the summer, and they just did another Elk Ridge is what we called the first Airbnb that we opened up, because we have elk that'll hang out right next to it by the pond. And they just did another post, and it has gone crazy. I kept seeing these bookings come in on my phone, and I'm like, I wonder if they did a post.
Dude. That's that's where you can make money with, hey, stop doing so much work and just chill in the winter and let that make money.
Correct. Yes. And so we're excited to get the other 2 up and going. I'm hoping by this summer those other 2 are ready to rock and roll.
It's brilliant, right?
Because not only do people like that, but like all the weddings that we have, they would love to stay on site. And then Mattoon with the Emerald Acres going on in the sports complex, you get a lot of travel ball families that are just tired of staying in a hotel, and they're looking for something unique, and we're literally only 20 minutes away from that.
Perfect,
and so we're excited about that. And then kind of the most recent arm that we opened up, my hobby is collecting. So I collect kind of vintage toys that I played with when I was a kid.
Okay.
But I collect them, and I keep them in the box or on the card, and that's just how I've always done it. And with our Museum of Prehistoric Life, we were trying to think, we call them museum lengtheners. What can we do to keep people here longer? And so I had the idea, well, what if we put the Jurassic Park toys and the Dino Rider toys and kind of all of our dinosaur related toys out in what used to be my old office in display cases. A kid can run by a life-size model in 3 seconds if they don't really care. But if they want to look at all the little things, it takes you longer to look at that. And it did exactly what we were hoping for. It kept people there longer. But the byproduct we weren't expecting was people coming up telling us, I remember when I had that when I was a kid. Or I remember when my kids played with that. Or it was so cool to show my kid what I played with when I was his age. To the point where we didn't know what we were going to do with the rest of the corner of that building. It had 8-foot ceilings. We felt if we went the prehistoric museum route, we were going to be downgrading because we couldn't do any big, cool pieces. Like we have a 12-foot tall mega camelus in there right now and
found the perfect
huge
thing.
pieces. And so I threw out, what if it has nothing to do with prehistoric? What if we just put more of the collections out there and just like action figure nostalgia type of vibes? And action figure nostalgia kind of became our motto for it. And we tested it out with He-Man. That was the next one we opened up. Had nothing to do with dinosaurs. Didn't know how it was going to go.
That was my jam in the day. Castle Grayskull, man.
Like I thought, okay, kids, they might want to buy the toys. The women, they're not going to care about it at all. But the guys, they're gonna love it. They're gonna think it's cool. And what the biggest surprise is, it is almost 50-50 between guys and girls about who like it, and it doesn't matter the age. And so that was very cool to see. So then we started realizing, okay, we need to finish out the rest of this with display cabinets. And so we have Star Wars, we have Thundercats, we have Ninja Turtles. I think we have like 18 lines, and quickly realized like it is like a museum in of itself. So Masters of All Toys Museum is what we call it. It appeals to a wider, or not a wider, but a different group of people. Some people might see the toys and think, oh my gosh, that's cool. Come see we have Dinosaur Museum, we have the Wildlife Park. Oh my gosh, I can do all of this stuff. But the biggest thing that stood out to me that I realized with the toys is He-Man, for example, has a huge social media following, all kinds of Facebook pages. As cool and amazing as I think the park is, or the Museum of Prehistoric Life, I can't post those on those pages because they have nothing to do with He-Man. They're going to get deleted. But I can take a picture of our He-Man collection and say, hey, you can come check this out. This is open to the public at Aikman Wildlife inside of Museum of Prehistoric Life. And we're able to advertise to people that we wouldn't reach otherwise for free. All we were doing is posting on the pages. And so it has been a way to reach a whole new group of people.
But you know what? Is you've locked on to something that's diminishing, man. Keeping people outdoors, keeping people away from their phone, looking at something other than their phones.
Correct.
Stuff.
Yes.
And wildlife, nature. I mean, it's stuff that's amazing.
Yeah, and that
I don't even know if it's intentional, but it's...
so early on, we knew, like, for my
phones
kids...
and technology is awesome.
Yep, definitely, absolutely.
But,
and it is huge, and it plays super important roles in life. But, like, my wife, she didn't want our kids just to be staring at a screen all day. She wanted them to be outside playing, outside learning, being creative, being imaginative, and that's where a ton of the growth happens.
Yeah.
And so we got so many people thanking us for... Thank you for just having a place where my kids don't have to be on screens, that they actually forget about their screens while they're here. And I've done behind-the-scene tours for teenagers that have their headphones in and they're on a tablet or a screen, think they're too cool for school to be there. And then usually by the time we go out with the kangaroos, you see them, their
earbuds are in their pocket.
Earbuds are out, and they're trying not to seem too interested, but they're enjoying their thing, and it's cool. And then by the time we get out in the UTV, they're squealing and they're giggling and they're laughing, and so
they're being kids.
It's just been very cool to see that as well.
Yeah, there's nothing like that, dude. Animals. I mean, I can't imagine. I know. I mean, animals have personalities, so I can't imagine being able to be around so many different kinds.
Correct.
I mean, I'm just a dog guy. So, I only got 3 dogs, and they're all different, so I can't imagine. You live on site. So is it legit all animals do have? I mean, you go out and you go pet the animals and talk to the animals and hang out with animals? Is it like that? Or is it like, no, it's not like that?
It's
You know what I
kind
mean?
of like
Is that
that.
stupid
Yes.
to ask?
Yep. So Andy, I mentioned him and his family. They live in the Arthur Martin house. We live in what was called the Trading Post. It was a log cabin. It was a Native American gift shop. Had a big
Okay.
teepee in front of it. Just a giant open building, no walls or anything. So we put some walls up, made it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. So we live on site. Both of us live on site. And doing the tours, we get people, oh my gosh, you have the best job ever. You just get to sit and play with animals all day. You get to cuddle animals all day.
You're
And
like,
so,
man.
actually, no, we get it. We can play with animals if we want to, but then we're not getting other stuff done
Yeah.
for other animals or
I
different
just
things
didn't know,
like
is
that.
there an animal or a species of animal or whatever that like is like sees you know, like a dog sees you and goes, hey, hey.
Yes. So like our spotted hyenas, for example, so they actually, Andy's house has the hyenas right behind it, and then we're right next to the hyenas. And so both the hyenas recognize both of us, both our
When it
kids,
sees you, it'll
and they
come.
recognize our team members because they're the ones that feed them. They are the only animal at the park we do not go in with. So there's always a fence between us just because their jaws are so powerful. A bite could easily take your finger off.
Oh,
So
okay.
next to alligators
No
and
playing.
crocodiles, they have one of the strongest bite forces in the animal kingdom. Because of that, food dishes are made out of concrete, and the balls they play with are bowling balls, and they have teeth marks in them. And so it's funny because you'll get, when I tell people that, you'll see them be shocked, but you'll also see them, is that really true? And then we walk further down, and one of their bowling balls is normally out in the yard. And like, oh my gosh, you can see the teeth marks on it.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
just a little playtime.
right. So they love attention. They come when they're called, just like dogs. I will pet them through the fence as soon as their heads move, though my hands come out. But they definitely recognize
Okay.
people. Probably some of more so than a lot of the animals at the park, like our camels, Randy and Fabio, or Tobias, our Grant zebra. They all know their names. Like you yell their name, they'll turn their head at you.
Really?
And so they'll come up. Sometimes they're usually not going to run at you like the hyenas do. So the hyenas are probably the most
Right.
personal ones. We do have, like Lakota is a umbrella cockatoo that we took in from a family that she had health things going on and just couldn't have him anymore. And so he lived in our house for probably the first 9 months he was here, and super friendly. I can get him out, pet him all over, open up his wings. He'll let me trim his nails.
Okay.
Just on the perch. I can trim his wings on the perch. All of our other birds, we usually have to towel because they'll try to bite us. But he loves people. My wife does a lot of our wildlife on wheels, which is kind of our version of a mobile zoo, taking
Okay.
small animals into schools or nursing homes or libraries. And we've always wanted to be able to have a bird with that, but we've never been able to until Lakota came. And so she'll take Lakota, and he usually steals
Loves
the show.
all about,
Yep.
yeah.
So he definitely has a huge personality.
So, man, it sounds like you guys you haven't stopped. I mean, you just named a lot of stuff for it only been 10 years.
Yeah, and kind of my finance background with investing, diversification is very big. So if something doesn't work,
Yeah.
you've got other things, and
Yeah,
so
you've went every
we've kind
direction.
of been implementing that in the park. And we we had a meeting with Emerald Acres, and I was thinking about it driving there. There are other sports complexes in the country that are probably by a zoo. There's not many sports complex that would be by a prehistoric museum. There's probably no sport complex that would be by a toy museum, because this summer I had our gift shop people in the downtime research dinosaur museums and toy museums in the region, in the country, and in the world, because I wanted to see what our competition is. And way fewer toy museums than there are dinosaur museums. But I told them, for sure, there is no place on the planet that would be this close to a wildlife park, a dinosaur museum, and a toy museum,
Right.
and have an overnight component to where people can spend the night.
Yeah.
And so
It's one of a kind.
that is something that we're working on. What's the best way to package that in a picture or in a collage of pictures to showcase and kind of use that kind of mentality. We're not the biggest of any of those things, but we're the only one where you can do all those things in one place and still have ideas for new things that we can add and keep growing. And we'd love to get the museum to a place where it would take you multiple hours to walk through it, where it could be its legit standalone thing. And we see what we have posted on different dinosaur pages my brother and I are on. A lot of comments we get is, "Oh wow, finally a reason to come to Illinois," or "I didn't think I'd ever go to Illinois, but I'm gonna have to come and check this out." Or we get people from other countries posting that they're ticked that this is not in their country because they want to come see it, and it's too small for somebody to come from another country. But we definitely see as the museum grows, it being able to bring people in from other countries. Other countries have wildlife drive-through parks, so the Aikman Wildlife probably won't ever bring people, not many people from other countries. They'll bring from other states, and it already has done that. But the museum has the ability to bring people from other countries.
So is there obviously, do you plan on growing, like physically growing the museum?
Yes. Yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. When we brought Phase 3 in, that kind of maxed out
The space.
The space. The building that's right next door to our museum, it's the first building when you come into the parking lot. We didn't own that, and we just recently acquired that building, and so it's about 70 feet apart. And so what we're actually working on doing, we've applied for a couple of grants. We're kind of waiting to hear back if we got them, but we're wanting to connect the two buildings together, and we would actually be moving our gift shop into this building. The bulk of this building has 12-foot ceilings, so we can do some very cool museum pieces. The front part of it also has 12-foot ceilings. We're going to be doing an outdoor playground indoors so kids can play all year long, get energy out. And it would take us from about 2,500 square feet currently to over 11,000 square feet. And so we see that being a huge game changer for us, especially for our slow season, to be a legit destination
For winter.
all year long. Because in our area, usually by the end of October, tourism kind of dies around there because it gets so cold. People aren't thinking about outdoor type of things.
Like you said, you have somewhere to come kill a few hours.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we've kind of started doing some of the remodel work in that building ourselves. This winter was the coldest winter we've had in quite a while, and so that brought us indoors earlier, and we just didn't have that many indoor projects. We were able to get a lot of the remodeling knocked out ourselves, which will help on costs. And so then we're kind of just waiting to see what happens with
So
this
is the
grant.
zoo and the drive-through park open now?
Yes.
when does it-
So right now, the walkthrough in the museum are open Wednesdays through Sundays. And the drive-through, the month of March, we usually have the drive-through open on Saturdays.
Okay.
So Saturdays in March, we do March Madness. And so it's basically our Triple Crown, which is drive-through, walk-through in museums.
Every Saturday?
It's half off. So it's $8 for adults instead of $15 for adults. And then in April is when Sundays for the drive-through will come back into play. Our wagon rides will come back into play. And so then as we get closer to Memorial Day weekend, that's when we open the whole park up 5 days a week.
Right.
And so that's our busy time. April and May is kind of the start of field trip season. So that's a good warm-up for us to get back in the swing of things before we kick into 5 days a week during the summertime.
Yeah. Dude, I can't. I got to get back now. Yeah, I felt like now that I know the time frame, man, it must have been. You must not have been there for maybe 2 years whenever I went.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was cool then.
Sure.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and then another thing in
You've
that
went leaps
2020
and
that we were
bounds.
able to do is we were able to concrete a lot of our walking paths, and so that has been huge for anyone in wheelchairs, even moms with strollers, even just walking, and that helps regardless of whether it rained or not. You're walking on solid concrete, and so that has been a huge blessing as well for people.
Yeah, man, Well, you definitely got a really awesome place, man.
Thank you.
Who'd have thought a dream?
Yeah.
You dreamed it, dude. Good for you. Congratulations, man.
Yeah. No, it's. I tell people. And
I don't get anyone to ever believe my dream. But you got everyone to believe yours. Started with your wife and your pessimist brother, and now everyone's like, hey, the guy, he had the best business partner ever, God.
Yeah, that's what every day since we closed. When I get to the office, and even if I walk to the office, I'll go through the office and come out the front door, and I kneel down and I place my hand on the ground and I pray three things. God, this is your park. I am nothing without you, and anything you give me to do, I'll do everything in my power to not disappoint you. And so that has kind of helped me always keep my focus on him, that it's God's park. It's not our park. We're kind of just the ones doing it. And there's things that we have been able to do and speed at which we've been able to do them at that would not have been doable without God. And so,
yeah, everything you just laid out was 35 years of work. You know what I mean? I mean, if I didn't know that everything happened since 2015, I would have been like, well, that's cool. When did you take over?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's insane. I mean, but I mean, to make things happen, you have to put things in motion.
My brothers have been huge. They kind of see the vision and
to do it,
know what we got to do to get it done. And then our wives doing different aspects of the business and helping out with things. And so it has definitely been a
group of
family,
doers.
a family project, family business.
Even better, what a blessing to have a family, to make it be a family project.
Correct.
I mean,
yeah. And I won't sugarcoat it. There's definitely times where working with family can be complicated and frustrating. But at the end of the day, it is way better working with family than
there's no better people to argue with and make up with.
Yeah, and that's what, like my brother and I, we will. Usually he might have one idea and I have another idea on how we should do it, and we will argue. We've argued our whole lives. We love arguing. My grandma thought I should be a lawyer, but usually we'll end up at something that's better than what either of us had.
Yeah.
And so
that used to be the exact right way to come to an agreement and get things done in the old days. You know, even in politics, that used to be how it worked. Yeah.
Correct.
Not no more.
Yeah.
You're right or wrong. That's it.
Yeah.
No. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to come in here. Dude, you just enlightened me altogether, man. You're an impressive guy, dude. You've done some really cool things. I'm amazed. And to give it all to God and to follow the right path and just to keep moving is impressive. You're a hardworking dude, though. That's the part you can't chalk up. I mean, you've been busting your hump, as have your wife, your brothers, your family. I mean, it doesn't come without hard work. You know?
Yeah, and that's what, especially myself and my brother, like we love visualizing, we love dreaming, we love thinking about things. Like my wife, she's more, tell me what to do and I'll do it. I don't really want to think about what to do, and I tell her that's the favorite part of the job for me, is thinking about what can we do differently. And I'm very big on, if you do something, that doesn't mean you have to do it that way forever. There could be a better way of doing it, or you could find a different way. Or so we've not been afraid to blow systems up and reconfigure or rethink or figure things out to be more efficient or to be faster. Or to
even
work
to
smarter.
Sit back and build a few things now and go, man, that worked. Or to drive to lunch 2 months after COVID hit and drive back and go, man, these cars are backed up to see what we built, dude.
Correct.
And no one's pissed off,
right?
Rather than everyone's happy. You know, I mean, that's just, that's huge. I mean, it's rewarding. There's got to be rewarding, you know.
Yeah, and people ask me what's my favorite part, and honestly, it's people coming up and thanking me for sticking through it, especially the people that knew things that I went through, like with the other county and everything. That even my wife would have said I would have.
You had every chance to throw in the towel,
and so that's why we knew God gave it to me, because He knew I would see it through regardless. Like she would say a few different times are you sure this is what you want to be doing? Are you sure we should be doing this? When we were going through all those trials, I'm like, quitting is not even an option in my
So
mind.
in
Like,
your mind, that was it. It's like,
not
yeah,
even
it's
an
not,
option. This is
throwing
what
in
I'm
the towel's
supposed to
not.
do. Yeah. So that just people coming up thanking me for sticking with it, thanking us for having this be here for their family. That's the
key.
the coolest part of the job.
It is. That's cool. Well, yeah, I would say, yeah, me and a bunch of other people are really happy that you're not a banker. I mean, come on, dude. That is, again, 11 years ago. There's a lot of people that was, when you walked out of the room, went, did you just hear what he said he's going to do?
Yeah.
He said he's going to quit his job and have a big giant zoo that they're going to drive through. Get out of town, dude.
Yeah, I have a very good friend. Got to know him over the years since we started, and he was just telling me the other day. He said, when I came to Rockholm and they told me that somebody was going to be, or they're thinking somebody's going to buy it and turn it into a drive-through zoo. He said, my thought was, yeah, right. Who's actually going to do that? And then he said the first day I drove through, he's like, oh my gosh, I love these people.
Yeah, whoever they are. Yeah. Same, dude. I swear, same. Except for what was wild is I remember hearing about it and then crawling into an ATV 24 months later. Like, it was like, oh shit, this happened.
Well, yeah, so
this actually happened.
We
soon.
closed September 1st of 15. My wife and I were in Champaign at the title company doing the closing while my other brothers were back at the park starting to work on things. So, and people asked, oh my gosh, you moved so fast. And I said, well, what did you want me to do? You want me to sit around and wait 30 days before I started? We had a very detailed to-do list for as soon as we got the property. This is what needs to be done. And our fence posts were supposed to come in that week. They did not come in until September 11th. And we had our first group of animals coming in on the 22nd. And so we were working 6 days a week, especially in the beginning, usually starting at 6 a.m, not getting home till 7 p.m, just to get the drive-through fencing up so we had a spot to contain the animals that were coming. So
that is amazing. Thankfully
now we all work normal hours, pretty much 8 to 4, 8 to 5, and we have 2 days off and we can take vacation days. And so
you got a normal thing going.
Very, very different than that first year.
The first years are what makes it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I'll get you out of here, man. Again, I appreciate you coming. Hey, if you guys are out there and need something to do, it sounds like it doesn't matter what time of year it is now, but we're getting to the point now where if you haven't been to Aikman Wildlife Adventure, you need to Google it. And it's what, an hour away from here? Not even 40 minutes?
It took me 50 minutes
50
to get
minutes? Here. Hey, it's more than just driving through.
For sure.
It's a day. It's a day. Matter of fact, it's a night too.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, definitely.
That's a freaking brilliant idea. Airbnbs on the pond. That's great. But go check this guy out and what he's doing. Thank you very much for coming and sitting down with me, man.
No problem. Thanks for the invite. I've had fun.
Yeah, this is neat. Thank you guys for joining me on Beyond Business. We'll catch you on the next one. Till then, be kind to each other. And again, if you haven't checked out what this guy's doing at Aikman Wildlife, make sure you do. I'll tag his Facebook right here and his website, but you guys need to go see it for yourself. Catch you on the next one.
New episode every 5 days, new voices to share, laughs and insights, we're all in this affair. Beyond Business, come take a seat, join the conversation, it's a journey that's sweet, life lessons learned and laughter from the heart. With every episode we're making a start.
Me on today's episode, before you close this on out, let me have a minute to shout out the sponsors that make it all happen. Your backyard deserves the best, and at Family Home and Patio, they have it. In or above ground pools, premium brand hot tubs, all crafted right here in the USA. And all your pool and spa installation, service, and supply needs. Family Home and Patio, where relaxation meets home. Reach out to them at 217-877-2808. Visit them online at familyhomeandpatio.com or stop in the showroom to take a look around and discuss how they can make your dream become a reality. Aerial Elite Solutions specializes in providing high-quality aerial imagery and data for a variety of industries, including real estate, construction, agriculture, and more. Whether you're needing stunning photos to showcase your property, detailed site surveys for your construction project, or captivating footage for your events, Aerial Elite Solutions has expertise and cutting-edge technology to deliver exceptional results. If you're ready to take your business to new heights, reach out to Aerial Elite Solutions today at flyaes.com or give them a call at 217-330-7226 and see how they can help transform your project with their services. Midwest Lightning Rod specializes in creating customized solutions tailored to your specific needs, ensuring your home is a safe haven during the storm season. Their dedicated team understands the importance of safety and offers free estimates to help you decide the best protection for your property. Don't leave your safety to chance. Reach out to MLR today and give yourself peace of mind knowing you're well protected. Visit lightningstrikes-weprotect.com or give them a call at 217-872-4676 to learn more about how you can be a part of the community that's been protected by MLR. If you're looking for high-quality custom apparel and more, Oakwood Screen Printing has you covered. They offer a fantastic range of products, including jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, pants, towels, bags, wall art, tumblers, mugs, and even yard art. Whether you need team gear, promotional items, or unique gifts, they can bring your ideas to life. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can enjoy 15% discounts on all orders using promo code BB217 when you shop in-store or online at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. Their team is dedicated to delivering excellent quality and service. Don't miss out on a great opportunity to get your custom apparel and gear at a fantastic price. Visit oakwoodscreenprinting.com and use code BB217 today. Thank you, sponsors, for supporting the podcast and helping us bring you great content. And now, we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, be kind to each other.
New episode every 5 days. New voices to share. Laughs and insights. We're all